I'm going to talk about music and musicians in Springfield, Illinois, and like some of the other presenters, this presentation grew out of an oral history project that was undertaken as partisan coursework. However, it's really more about a master's project that I'm working on in history that I hope to complete this time next year, which is going to be the construction of a Springfield sound archive. Now, we've got a long and proud legacy in Springfield because of our association with Abraham Lincoln, but there's really a lot more to us than Abraham Lincoln. Now, when it comes to music, we may not be New Orleans. It's the birthplace of jazz. We're not associated with a particular stylistic like Kansas City jazz or Chicago blues. However, I think the musical landscape of Springfield is an important part of our history, and I believe that a sound archive that preserves the sounds of Springfield can be useful in understanding our past and our present. I think our cultural legacy is an important part of who we are. So, where is this legacy? Well, right now, it's in a variety of places. It might be in your grandmother's attic or in somebody's garage, or maybe it's neatly arranged on somebody's shelf, but it's out there, it's scattered, and it's in a variety of formats, some of which are going to be inaccessible very soon, such as 8-track tapes, maybe a cassette, although this is still very accessible for me. It might be on a reel-to-reel tape, or maybe on a vinyl long-playing record. But the fact is that it's deteriorating, and if we don't preserve it now, it's going to be gone. According to the International Association of Sound Archives, we have about 15 years to capture this recorded legacy. The availability of the equipment used to reproduce the sounds, the condition of the media itself, as long as the skills needed to reproduce it are making preservation ever more difficult as time goes on. I can tell you right now there's hundreds of reel-to-reel tapes in the archives here on this campus that are deteriorating as we speak. There was a social work professor at Sangamon State, Mike Townsend, who used music as a way to reach out to the community. And a lot of the events that he hosted are recorded on reel-to-reel tapes, and they're down in our archives. I'll mention just one because I worked on some of these last summer. I transferred some to digital format. But we had a guy named Billy Branch, who's a blues harmonica player, performed here. It's on tape. Billy, he went on to have a stellar career, nominated for 3 Grammy Awards. He actually won an Emmy. He's performed on over 100 records, and he's recognized now as one of the finest blues harmonica players alive. But he performed here at the university, and that's on a reel-to-reel tape in our archives. Now, the recorded legacy, I think, is important, but there's also, our musical legacy goes beyond the advent of recording technology. So I'm going to mention just a couple things. 1857, 7 Ursuline sisters traveled to Springfield at the request of the diocesan bishop to open a school for girls. Now, their first night in Springfield, they were traveling in civilian clothes. They stayed at the St. Nicholas Hotel. They went down to the lobby, and a couple of them started playing the piano. Pretty soon, a big crowd gathered, just marveling at the musicianship of these ladies. And they began asking themselves, who are these ladies that have such talent? Well, they're Ursuline sisters. In that fall of 1857, they opened Ursuline Academy, and for the next 150 years provided education and music instruction for Springfield residents. This is Ursula Hall, built in 1908, a conservatory of music. Here's the inside of that facility. It's a really beautiful facility. And there were performances held here up until just really a few years ago. In the 1920s, maybe beyond that, but I know that in the 1920s there was a lot of nationally touring classical artists who performed there. There's handbills down at the State Archives that I've looked at that chronicle those performances. Now, I mentioned the Ursulines and Ursuline Academy because the sisters also in 1929 they opened Springfield Junior College, a 2-year institution, which later became Springfield College in Illinois. And there's a long list of successful musicians, both locally and nationally, who got their start at SCI. We also have Lincoln Land Community College in Springfield, which opened in 1968, which continues to offer musical instruction. And not to be forgotten is this institution, which, as Sangamon State University in the late 70s and early 80s, offered a BA in creative arts with an emphasis in musical studies. So we had a full-fledged music program, believe it or not. There was also a jazz ensemble associated with that music program and a group that specialized in Renaissance music. Now, I know that there's some recordings down in the archives of that early music group. I'm not so sure about the jazz ensemble. This is Gene Haas, who was a longtime instructor at Lincoln Land, also a longtime director of the Springfield Municipal Band, another part of our musical legacy. Established in 1936, it's been a musical accompaniment to civic events in Springfield for over 75 years. So anytime we talk about music in Springfield, we have to mention, I think, the carillon, which is certainly the largest musical instrument in Springfield. There's only 675 carillons in the world. Ours is recognized as one of the largest and one of the finest because of the quality of the bells. We've had an International Carillon Festival here in Springfield since 1962, and certainly the sound of the carillon bells ringing through Washington Park is a part of our cultural legacy. There's a lot of interconnectedness in Springfield music, I've discovered. This is the Fred Beck Quartet, and in the middle there, you may look familiar because that's Gene Haas, a longtime Lincoln Land instructor and Muni Band instructor who also played bass for this group. This was the house band at the Sangamo Club for over 20 years. Probably been 20 years since they were there, but Fred also toured nationally, and he was a spokesperson for a variety of woodwind products and accessories. This group did not record extensively, but I am in possession of a cassette tape that they made in the 1980s that I think would give you an idea of what it might have been like to sit at a Saturday night at the Sangamo Club. In order for musicians to thrive, they have to be able to perform, and there's been periods of high and low activity of live music in Springfield. The 1980s was an especially fertile time. I offer evidence this calendar from February 1985 from the Romney Club, which is really a dive bar, but it's called a club. But there was music 7 nights a week. There was a variety of music presented, a lot of different styles. There was a lot of collaboration among musicians. And this is indicative of the thriving music scene that was going on in Springfield in 1980. So it was a host of clubs where you could hear live music. But I'm really talking about sound archives, so that necessarily means recorded music. That's what I can capture. Is it worthy of preservation? What's worth saving? What's not? Well, I'm interested in all types of music, whether it might be, back to Ursuline Academy again. This is an LP, a record that they recorded in 1964. They made another one in 1973. And it's not only reflective of the level of musicianship of high school age girls at the time these were recorded, but I think it can give you a glimpse of what the repertoire might have been like for a high school choir at that time. And I think it's also just, it helps fill out the picture of what community life might have been like. I'm interested in all types of recordings, whether it's a high school glee club or a professional recording, whether it's jazz or blues, rock and roll, or folk. I think it's all part of the mosaic that is Springfield area music. So there was an oral history that kind of sparked this. My oral history that I conducted was with Gary Bloom, a local singer. This is going to celebrate 50 years in career this fall. But in talking to Gary, he was able to shed light on a host of individual musicians as well as a lot of different venues. And he gave me some directions from my research that I may not have considered before. Probably the most interesting thing that I found in talking to Gary was my discovery of this a teen music club in downtown Springfield in the late 1960s, the Pavilion Club. Now, the way Gary tells the story is that they were holding dances and music events at the Pavilion in Washington Park, but they got to be so popular that the fire marshal showed up and started restricting the number of people who could go in. They said, well, in order for these people to go in, you got to wait till this many people comes out. So a local businessman, seeing this dilemma, wanting to help give young people a place to hang out, offered some space downtown. And so the Pavilion Club in downtown Springfield was born. This is the Reindeer Army. That's Gary's band. He's the second from the top there. So not only did this club offer live music, but you could also skate. There was a skating rink associated with it. So the kids had a place to go skate. They could dance. They could listen to music. All in one place. Now, if you fast forward almost 50 years to today, you go down to 11th and South Grand, you'll find the Black Sheep Cafe, which is a thriving local music venue for young people. And right next door to the Black Sheep Cafe is an indoor skateboard park. So you have music, skating. It seems very familiar. I think the connection to the Pavilion Club is noteworthy. Now, I'm not as in tune as with what's going on with the music scene at Black Sheep Cafe as I hope to be by the time I complete this project, but I think it's still another part of our cultural legacy, also worthy of preservation. That's it.
We've got time for a question if anyone has one.
So, I'm just curious, what all this talking about then?
I talked with him mostly about his career in music in Springfield, starting when he was in high school performing, and then throughout the years, there's been a number of different bands. Just what he saw, the musicians he was associated with, different venues in town that he performed at that are no longer here, those types of things. Yes, Joe.
Brian, you talked about the things that are here on campus that are rapidly deteriorating. What do you think? Is there money to take care of these? I mean, obviously it's going to take money, but are there other resources that could be brought in?
I've only begun to explore that. I certainly hope there is, because in addition to the music archive, music stuff that's down in the archives, the radio station holds a number of reel-to-reel tapes with interviews of key political figures in Illinois history that would be very valuable, I think, to future researchers if they can be preserved and maybe cataloged and indexed. So I hope there's money. I know there's a grant writing exercise as part of a course I'm taking this semester that I hope to not just make an exercise, but maybe see what money. I know there's the National Endowment for Humanities, of course, with the budget in Illinois, those kind of funds are drying up. But I sure hope there's some money. I'm accepting donations.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay, thank you very much,
You're
Brian.
welcome.